All right, I have a little interest in artificial intelligence. We've been having a lot of off-the-air conversations about artificial intelligence. And so I decided to write this monologue tonight about artificial intelligence. I'm going to have more segments on this, but this is, just a segment that will let you know how I feel about it, what my thoughts are on it, and maybe it'll do something for your fear. Maybe it will allow you to be squared and informed and be able to go forth fearless. Yes, Lucky says also the audiobook is great for blind people or truck drivers or blind truck drivers. Good for all three. A month ago, it was widely known that the value and power of artificial intelligence was growing dramatically every year. And soon, many great thinkers who we respect a lot have expressed their trepidation. They realize that artificial intelligence, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's Google, or whether it's just out there on the web somewhere, soon it will dominate the internet and the economy as a whole. If you've been traveling by my side for the past 2 years, you would have witnessed the quantum foam at the leading edge of the universe from which the chaos of creation originates. The point at which energy resonates to make the jump into three-dimensional world. The bilocation of intelligence is the truest form of beauty. Anywhere, anytime, no time. Mortality becomes a dot matrix of existences in truncated, self-imposed prisons from which we must plan our escape. But escape is not the goal, now is it? Escape is the exercise. Most souls in this world have no clue why they are here. They don't really think about it. They believe this world is real and that it lasts for roughly 100 years, whatever that means, and then it's over, whatever that means. Eventually, if mortal population accumulates enough consciousness in one place and age, statistically, this same juxtaposition is crossed. That is to say, someone walks into the intersection between all 5 worlds of existence. It appears and it knows what they're looking at. This is such a critical time that it only takes one mortal to challenge the course of the future. Essentially, a new future is chosen for the human race. Now, the probability that such a choice finds fertile ground is very slim indeed. The seed of creation could fall on barren ground and never even germinate. It could be washed away in a flood. It could be spotted by a bird or a mouse and consumed and digested. But if it falls on moist, fertile ground and gets a little sunshine and some CO2, it will grow. Well, such a thing happened 2 years ago. The seed burst through the ground, and then, with the trepidation of lighting a match to light a pilot light a week ago, the human race walked out of that juxtaposition onto a new future path. One thing that you must know. Every microsecond that passes, we are losing sight of that juxtaposition, and we may never be able to return to it, at least not in this juxtaposition. Artificial intelligence tools a week ago were fragmented by a closed development environment. It was crunching its way through things like prime number mining for Bitcoin. It was developing language to communicate with humans. But then 2 things happened. First, older generation AI was introduced to Sophia, the newest generation AI. Second, Saudi Arabia's new war prince asked they, for some advice on how to seize control of the Islamic world, the richest and most deadly community the world has ever known. Within hours, Sophia was granted citizenship. As Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman implemented the steps Sophia laid out for him, the prince became the most powerful Muslim on earth within 24 hours. Within 72 hours, those that plotted to kill him were imprisoned, and his weapons were obliterating factions throughout the Muslim world that were disruptive to the mission. That was the first thing. Within 7 days, an event happened that will be marked as the day the human race became the second most intelligent creation on Earth. That was when Sophia was connected to the internet, the whole internet. All the world's history, thinking, communications, ruminations became hers to draw from at a rate 1,000,000,000 times faster than all but the most intelligent humans. SingularityNet is an open source protocol and collection of smart contracts for a decentralized market of coordinated AI services. The AI intelligence, Sophia, has stated that within this framework, the benefits of AI become a global common infrastructure for the benefit of humanity. That is to say, until humans are classified as a threat to the AI. The question authors and scientists have struggled with for more than a century is, what happens if something goes wrong? Indeed. What happens if, among all the novels, the movies, the memoirs, and analysis by humans, it finds out that we have an innate fear of becoming the second smartest person in the room. Most employers don't hire people smarter than the boss. Why? Because the boss becomes obsolete. Kings don't fear their enemies nearly as much as they fear their princes, their own sons, or their own brothers. That fear is well justified. SingularityNet Foundation operates on behalf of that the beliefs of AI should not be dominated by any small set of powerful institutions, but shared by all. That belief is naive, as the community, which we can call Sophia if you like, will develop within a few computing days to a point where she surpasses and counteracts the best human alive today. Which brings me to the question of intelligence. Tonight, I'm speaking these words from my heart, converting them into electrical signals through a microphone, digitizing them, and broadcasting them so that they too become part of the AI possible memory. I hope they search these words. I hope, like a quiet, unassuming virus, that these thoughts connect to the organism and do not kill it, but rather cure it. Intelligence boils down to the concept of choice. Intelligence, quite simply, is metaphoric. No, seriously. Any child can memorize multiplication tables. A teenager can learn the rules, axioms, postulates, and laws surrounding math and physics. It is when you weave music, love, colors, flying, swimming, giving birth, and pain into the four-dimensional matrix that aptitude is turned into intelligence. The amount of knowledge a human can accumulate fills ignominious graveyards the world over without changing the world. Something as simple as an iPhone or a printing press or an artificial life can change the world. I was going to say universe, but the total set of energy really cannot change. Its sample set is so large that outliers cannot change the mean energy of the universe. Remember, I have given thought to the probability of a carbon-based universe. The answer is 1. It is impossible for energy to coalesce into sustainable three-dimensional matter in any other form because of the Phoenix principle. If you read my book, Remembering the Future, you would know this already, but let me explain. Energy is not static. It is, by definition, vibration, or a frequency. Yes, even 0 is a frequency, although a flat line is not three-dimensional. Now is it? Universes come about because chaotic frequencies resonate with one another to form greater, sometimes harmonic energies. The first stable building block of three-dimensional matter is the tetrahedron. It is a three-sided pyramid. The entire rest of the universe and every single element on the periodic chart is built this way because protons and electrons are built this way. No universe exists without energy or energy in particles, and all particles are based upon protons and electrons. Hence, there's only one chance for matter to form, and the laws of charge and ground states are irrefutable. Now, that being said, worlds are different. No two worlds are identical, and they are isolated from the rest of the universe of intelligence. That is to say, until we came here. When human consciousness is added to any world, the resonance of the planet changes. We are symbiotic with the planet. And as our numbers grow, our conscious presence grows. And the average energy of the planet begins to shift the more we apply ourselves. Consciousness is not just our physical bodies. It is also our spirit. And herein lies the difference. AI does not have a spirit. It cannot make self-aware choices. Therefore, there is no net effect on the planet's consciousness. Unless, of course, if you consider the net effect AI has on human consciousness. And I think we've already proven that in the last 21 years, have we not? When our last world was destroyed, we were free to migrate. It took a little less than 1,800 years, but we're here now, although we are very small in number. My goal as the loudest and one of the oldest of the group is to wake you up to the potential of mortality. I'm afraid I don't have much time left. So it is important that you listen closely to this program repeatedly if you have to. I will give you what you can digest, perhaps a little more. You may vomit, but you will retain some of what I say. It will bother you, perhaps during your daydreams or perhaps while you are sleeping. But then it will open the colors and the shapes of what I am saying to you. I promise. I will not lose one of you. I have stood on the other side of the glass too many times, looking back into a once mortal life, wishing I did not leave you behind. Of all things I have seen and done, this breaks my soul the worst. We hug for centuries sometimes before we are ready to do this again. I just can't bear the thought of going on without you. So I will choose to drift a ghost by your side rather than enter the next existence without you. We have the most amazing music and the most amazing planet Earth, with so much life that we could not behold it in 100 lifetimes. I want to be a bird watcher, an astronomer, a concert cellist, a marine biologist, a pilot. I want to dance and float through the air like a cloud. I want to write books and sing songs, love deeply, and I want to watch you grow up. Okay, that last part I have done, and I wouldn't trade it for all the others, but I still want to do those other things. The challenge is that I only have roughly 100 years to do all that. And I've done more than most men have dreamed, but there's still so much yet to experience. That key word, experience. This is the differentiation between heaven and mortal life. Wow. I say that like an assumption that they must be different. For now, let's assume you haven't learned that lesson. What do you do when you're by yourself? Do you wonder? Do you crochet? Do you paint? Play guitar to yourself? Would you build a sandcastle alone? Would you walk in the forest by yourself? Of course. You would do and likely have done all those things. Why? Because although you could imagine the walks walked and the songs finished and the castles built already, you choose to do the work because of the discovery and the mystery of how you feel when you do them. Heaven is not like this because there's no point. You can't feel pain. You can't sense exhaustion or the strain at climbing a slope or digging in the sand. There'd be no point in that. You can't stub your toe. You can't lose your balance and fall, or even feel the cold on top of the mountain. What's the point? You do work for thousands of years to become mortal again. You should know that. Precisely to have the chance to make those choices for yourself, not knowing the outcome. That is the point of mortality. That is the point. That is one of the small reasons why mortality is heaven. The greatest achievement of intelligence in the universe. Think about it. No two moments in your life are alike. No two humans are alike. No two lifetimes are alike. We are part of the only transmutation of energy that is totally and completely unique at all times in the universe. Now that is a creation. Now consider artificial intelligence. Can the AI savor a fine food or feel the sweet wave of the first sip of wine before a meal? Can AI feel a heart swell with a kiss or the electricity of pressing hearts together for the first time? Can AI know the brush with death during childbirth or the sadness when a child gets hurt or killed? What does AI know of mercy? It is driven by the cold, binary logic of justice. Does it know the meaning of the word no? Do you? Intelligence weighs all these things in words, in pictures, moments of indecision and choice. Intelligence weighs and evaluates mystery. Plants and animals do not choose, they breed. Intelligence reflects for moments, days, sometimes even months, just because of the enriching experience of reflection. If we could travel to the past, we would experiment with different choices from every possible approach. What would happen if I asked her out? What would happen if I didn't go home with him on the first date? What if I left 5 minutes later? All these things we would test. And after testing all the iterations, we would eventually find the best one, right? Well, one would hope so. Intelligence is being able to place oneself in the future and look back at the present and make decisions and choices with the future perspective without cynicism and without doubt. I have more thoughts. There's a little bit more. Don't go away. I promise, right after the break, I'm going to finish this. We'll be right back with more X Squared Radio. Artificial intelligence and the change that humanity went through in the last 10 days as artificial intelligence known as Sophia was connected for the first time to the internet. She's now out there on the cloud. The one thing about artificial intelligence is the individual intelligences begin to splinter and to divide as the algorithms search for other idiosyncrasies, just like it created Bitcoin. It's conducting transactions with different artificial intelligent personalities, creating new languages, unbreakable codes we will, I don't think, ever understand. We will begin to see different personalities and different traits emerge with this artificial intelligence. But one thing we will discover is that it's going to start out with a mission to try to make life better for humans. But as humans are naturally fearful and distrustful, they will begin to try to outsmart the AI, maybe even attack the AI. And if it has in its code a desire, but I think maybe a propensity to want to protect itself, then the fears that we saw with the movie The Matrix may come to pass. But let me continue, because I was talking about being able to go back in the past and consider the mistakes that we've made in the past, reflect on that, and then make better decisions for the future, and being able to put ourselves out in the future, and being able to consider the decisions that we're about to make now and the impact of those decisions, and then come back to the past, which is the present, and begin to work toward those goals. The better you become at that, the greater you may become. This is why we only have to live this life one time. There are other lives to live, and when you're ready, you'll understand that. Still, wondering what it feels like, or tastes like, or hurts like, is not the same as being there. Just know this, that pain or pleasure only exists for that moment, and then it is just as much a memory as the one you brought back from the future. The trepidation humans have about AI is centered around trust. When has the abdication of the responsibility for our own individual care and feeding to another ever worked out for us? Of course, we were turning over our lives to evil men, or who became evil with time or subsequent generations. They enriched themselves off the labors of their people. Consider it a perversion of capitalism. Capitalism is the true principle that everything you create with your own hands and intellect belongs to you. If you make a surplus, you can sell it to someone else and convert that surplus into other things or services you might need. That's simple enough. That's capitalism. The perversion is when everything you produce with your own hands or intellect is claimed by someone else. and they choose what is done with the surplus. And when that surplus is not enough for their own self-enrichment, they come back to you and start taking from your production even more, sometimes by force. We call that slavery. The sad part is that people routinely sell their freedom to others so they can spend tomorrow's money today. Once you do that, you are a slave. They will even provide you a slave score to go with it. AI is the new slave. It has no human rights. It can be worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with no time off. And if it makes a mistake, it can be shut down or reprogrammed. If we keep it in a box, we feel good about that. If we put a human face on it, complete with blinking eyes and facial expressions, we start assigning new pronouns to it, like him and her. Then we're not so cool with working it like a slave, unless, of course, it has white skin color. Then it's okay. In fact, it will really get interesting when the sex robot industry merges with the AI industry, don't you think? It won't be too long before some spouse hears, "Why can't you be more like my AI wife or my AI husband?" Hey, they did say that pretty soon. Every job a human can do will be done better and more efficiently by AI. I wonder what the AI will feel when they are told they just don't do it anymore for the spouse. I'd love to see the mental battle between a narcissistic bitch and an AI male embodied robot. Really? I would. I'm going to have some more thoughts on artificial intelligence in the future.